Today on Husky News, amid acts of anti-Semitism, Northeastern Hillel provides a tight-knit community for Jewish students on campus.
My parents always say that the Hillel here and the fact that I have so many Jewish friends is like one of the reasons they're so comfortable with me being so far from home.
Retired Northeastern professor and former Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis weighs in on Maura Healey's historical appointment as governor.
She's, I think, going to be a very good governor.
And the Northeastern community reacts to this year's mild winter weather.
So I personally am a skier and an ice climber, and the ski season here has been really bad so far.
Husky News starts now.
Hello and welcome to Husky News. I'm Gigi Barnett.
And I'm Katie Mogg. First up today, Northeastern has more than 50 religious and spiritual groups on campus.
Hillel is one, which is open to both the Jewish community and allies. Josie Solomon shares the story with Husky News.
Hillel is a campus organization that is found at more than 850 colleges in the United States. Northeastern Hillel has events occurring regularly with Shabbat celebrations every weekend. We sat down with members and leaders of the program to find out how Hillel has brought the Jewish community at Northeastern together.
I think our Hillel has helped a ton. Last school year, we reached over 75% of the Jewish student population. With all of our different committees and internships and fellowships, they really help Jewish students be a part of something bigger than themselves. Any form of hate is always unacceptable. And I think the university does its best to stay on top of everything, but they could always do better. Every university could do better at that.
Hillel is the perfect place for the Jewish community to come together on campus. With an increase in anti-Semitism, it's important for students to have a safe place. We talked to a few students who are part of Hillel on their opinion on modern-day anti-Semitism.
I don't know that enough is done when there have been anti-Semitic acts at Hillel. I feel like there isn't much said compared to when maybe other things occur at Northeastern, so I think more should be done.
Kanye West is a rapper who had over 30 million followers on Twitter before he got banned for anti-Semitic tweets. The Jewish community felt very impacted by his statements due to his popularity and influence.
I thought it was disgusting, and I thought that people who didn't think it was that bad really need to kind of take a second look and realize that that's not okay. When someone who has that much of an audience is going to say things like that, that it actually has an immense impact and people need to be held accountable.
A lot of people do have very hateful and negative feelings towards Jews, especially because we're such a small population. Because a lot of people have a lot of sympathy for Palestinians, that in turn makes them kind of angry towards Israelis and people supporting Israel, and in turn that's Jews, and it's anti-Semitism is justified a lot of the time by the Israeli government's poor actions. My parents always say that the Hillel here and the fact that I have so many Jewish friends is like one of the reasons they're so comfortable with me being so far from home.
Luckily, Jewish students on campus have a welcoming community to practice their culture and religion through Hillel. This is Josie Solomon with Husky News.
Three-term Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis is sharing his thoughts on our new Governor Maura Healey, the first woman elected to the job. Dukakis, a one-time Democratic nominee for president and professor emeritus at Northeastern, talked about Northeastern alumna Healey from his longtime home in Brookline.
I'm an admirer. I mean, I think she's very good at what she does. I think she was a fine attorney general. She's, I think, going to be a very good governor. Fortunately, she inherits a situation which is really very positive in many ways.
Tonight, to all of you, and to all of you out there, with the help of so many, we made history, didn't we? We made history.
But I think it's terrific. These are extremely capable women. It's long past time when they should have been asserting themselves at every level of government, and all of a sudden it's happened. 5 out of 6 constitutional officers are women. I think that's a good thing.
Dukakis remains the longest-serving Massachusetts governor.
New England residents normally gear up for intense blizzards and snowstorms, but this winter has been a bust. Aparna Shaker finds out how the Northeastern community feels about the abnormal weather.
First-year graduate journalism student Oishika Hota is experiencing her first Boston winter. Hota spent most of her life in tropical India, so people warned her that Boston winters would be very harsh. Hota came to the city with many gloves, hats, and heavy coats to cope with snowfall. But so far, she's underwhelmed.
I expected it to be a lot colder and I expected a lot more snow. It's already pretty cold for me as it is. If it gets worse, I don't know what I'll do.
Climate change professor Daniel Douglas explains that New England straddles a moving boundary between cold air from the north and warm air from the south. He says this causes a wide range of weather patterns during winter.
Winters in Boston are all over the place. Sometimes it's warmer, sometimes it's colder, sometimes it rains, and sometimes it snows.
Douglas says a significant contributor to Boston's erratic winters is La Niña conditions in the Pacific Ocean. This is when cold water from the deep Pacific Ocean rises to the surface, impacting air temperatures across the country. In New England, La Niña sometimes leads to warmer temperatures.
This is our third La Niña winter, which is unusual.
Douglas explained the scientific causes for this year's mild winter. But how does this manifest in the lives of Boston residents? Northeastern students have clubs dedicated to enjoying winter activities. But this year, club members say they are coping with conditions that have wreaked havoc in sports like skiing, ice skating, and ice climbing. Philip Weibel is an executive board member of Northeastern University Huskiers and Outing Club, an organization that introduces students to year-round outdoor activities. Weibel says he is greatly disappointed by the mild conditions of his favorite season. Boston receives around 49 inches of annual snowfall, according to the National Weather Service. This year, the city has only gotten about 10.
I personally am a skier and an ice climber, and the season here has been really bad so far. We have really been behind on the snow.
But Weibel says a mild winter is an opportunity for the club to go on local biking trips that would have been difficult to execute in colder temperatures.
It's been a blessing in disguise.
Despite a lackluster winter, Northeastern students like Weibel are finding ways to take advantage of warmer weather and enjoy the season. This is Aparna Shekhar for Husky News.
I have to say, Gigi, after such an underwhelming winter, I'm really looking forward to some spring.
I am too, and I hear that the weather next week is going to be fabulous, so I'm super excited for that.
I can't wait.
Now coming up on Husky News, a first-year student is bringing her booming baking business to campus.
Then, a student journalist speaks about her experience dealing with harassment online and how Northeastern should prepare future journalists to handle it.
I'd like to see Northeastern teach more de-escalation tactics. What happens if they get upset and react violently?
And Northeastern's favorite study spots are cramped and crowded, but some secret spaces out around campus may give Huskies some hope. We'll be right back.
What makes essential workers essential?
We build safe roads for you to drive on.
We harvest fresh produce for your families to eat.
We help you heal when you're sick.
We get you where you need to go.
We keep where you work and live clean and safe.
We make sure you get what you need to make your household work.
You're the essential workers who help our nation run. You're in every city, town, and corner of our country, and you come from all over the globe. And you have essential protections under the law. I'm Marty Walsh. The Wage and Hour Division at the Department of Labor helps ensure you receive the essential protections you deserve. If you have questions about your pay or about your job protection during an illness, visit our website or call 866-4US-WAGE. That's 866-487-9243. We can provide help in more than 200 languages.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Labor.
Welcome back to Husky News. I'm Katie Mogg.
And I'm Gigi Barnett. Northeastern students are encouraged to practice business and entrepreneurship on and off campus. Romy Schwartz is a first-year student at Northeastern, juggling a full class schedule while also planning to reopen her baking business. Romy opened her company Baked by Romy in 2020. She's made more than $30,000 in sales while selling her cookies out of her house in Philadelphia. After closing for a few months while settling into school, she's decided to reopen on campus with the kitchen in her apartment.
I started my business because I have always loved to bake, and I would always bring my friends stuff at school, and then they told me to start selling them. My main marketing strategy is Instagram, and I find that posting consistently keeps followers engaged, as well as giving cookies to food bloggers who post them, and that really expanded my customer base. I've decided to sell cookies again on campus because baking is a way for me to release my stress and also connect with other people. It's important for young women to start businesses because in the past, women weren't always given equal opportunities, and it gives them a way to learn and gain confidence.
Baked by Romy is a great example of how social media can help young entrepreneurs promote their businesses.
Pursuing a career in journalism means the possibility of dealing with harassment from sources, civilians, and the media. Colleges can implement programs and resources for journalism students to help prepare them for their future careers in the field. Bridget Boast has the story.
Meg Heckman is an assistant professor of journalism at Northeastern University. Recently, she conducted a study on the harassment that journalists face and concluded that student journalists are not immune to these dangers.
My name's Meg Heckman, and I'm an assistant professor of journalism. Harassment targeting journalists does happen. It's unfortunate, but it is a reality that many of us face in doing our jobs. I want to equip them to deal with all of the challenges that they're going to face. Being a journalist isn't always easy, and it isn't always safe, but it's really important, and it's absolutely crucial to a functioning society to have a free, open, and strong press.
As the journalism program grows, students are pushing for more education to help deal with on-the-field harassment. Danica Jeffries, a graduate student at Northeastern University, has experienced a massive amount of harassment during her time in the field.
Yeah, so I've experienced harassment as both a student journalist and in my professional career. As part of my co-op, I wrote a story for NBC News last fall, and one of the biggest pharma companies in the world responded by paying a company to write a smear campaign against me, calling me a little girl and an untrained graphics reporter. They attacked me on Twitter, hundreds of tweets. I'd like to see Northeastern teach more de-escalation tactics. When you go out into the field, you might not go into a community you're familiar with. You might be meeting people you've never met before. What happens if they get upset and react violently?
Northeastern professor Dan Kennedy agrees that journalism educators must better prepare their students for on-the-job harassment.
When we were in class recently, I talked about a situation that I got into a few years ago because I thought it would help my students to know that I've experienced some pretty harrowing harassment, discussion, and even some instruction about how to deal with harassment online and in real life is something that we really need to start dealing with in our classes.
The professors hope that by normalizing discussions around on-the-job harassment, students will be better prepared for challenging moments that journalists face. This is Bridget Boast reporting for Husky News.
Study spaces like Snell Library and Curry Student Center are packed to the brim, and students are left guessing if they'll find a spot for themselves. Fourth-year combined business, administration, and psychology major Daniela Olazabal says finding a place to study is often a time-consuming gamble, and during Boston's frigid winters, this is an even bigger hassle.
So in the winter, it's particularly hard for me to find a study spot. I live in Fenway, which is about a 20-minute walk from campus. Those 20 minutes are pretty intense. I like to stay on campus in between my classes.
Olazabal says Northeastern's Horticultural Hall at 300 Massachusetts Avenue is a hidden gem for students looking for a place to work. In a statement to Husky News, a Northeastern spokesperson said the university is considering allowing students to use classrooms as study spaces during evenings. In the meantime, students can book spaces online through the Spaces at Northeastern website and Robin portal. Our anchor, Katie Mogg, is here to share more. So Katie, what are some spaces across campus you would recommend students check out?
Well, Gigi, I would certainly recommend Cullinane Hall. This building has plenty of study spaces students can reserve ahead of time or use on a whim. And for students who want to enjoy the warming weather, getting work done on a bench near Centennial Common or Cariotis Hall can be a way to soak up some sun and check items off your to-do list.
Those are some great places, Katie. I also really like sitting at the tables outside of Snell Library when the weather gets warmer. That's all the news we have for today.
From all of us here at Husky News, thank you for watching and see you next time.